Jarell, intro us.
Alrighty, guys, viewers and listeners, morning or afternoon, good day. Welcome to the Learning to Lead podcast with myself, Jarell, as well as Zoe and Marcus. Today is the first episode officially of all three of us, and we're talking about learning to lead, and that's a very big topic. Maybe we want to look at the first very, very basics and fundamentals, and also on things that you guys may have thought about that needs to be very pinpointed. That's what we want to work on today, or at least talk about. First things first, though, I would like to ask both of you guys just, one story about how you guys showed leadership. I believe, we should definitely start there. I just want to hear that. I want to hear what pushed you guys to make do the things that you did in that act of leadership. There's a bunch of feelings that goes into doing something that maybe not everyone around you feels need to be done, but you two saw it. You were like, this needs to be done, and you took that role. So how did that happen?
Yeah, I'll start. I am the managing director of this podcast. I remember my freshman year, so this was just a year ago. I saw this thing called Lead 365 that was starting up. I was interested because, you want to get involved in school, and, college is the opportunity for you to build your skills and get ready for the professional world. So I was like, what's this? And then I saw there's so many different opportunities to get involved just with this club. Like, there's the social media aspect of it, and I was particularly drawn to the podcast aspect of it. And I remember being like the only one for a while, and then Marcus jumped on. And I just became really passionate about this. So I became managing director, and here we are now.
While we're here, can we get just like a little background on you? Just so if people are going to listen to us this whole time, they should probably know who we are, what we do, what do you like to do. Mm-hmm. Just a blurb. Go ahead.
My name is Zoe. I'm originally from Colorado. I'm a sophomore at the college, and I'm majoring in finance. I also am the president of the Entertainment Career Circle here at the college and a student ambassador. So I work in the Student Success Center as well as the Dean's Suite, working behind the desk and dealing with prospective student information as well.
Nice. So what do you do when you're not in class? What do you enjoy doing?
Watching TV.
Watching TV? That's it?
Yeah.
You're just going back to your dorm room and you're like, that's it?
Pretty much.
What are you watching right now?
Oh.
It puts you on the spot.
There's so much. Okay, I don't know, what I'm allowed to say because,
Is it on Netflix?
Netflix is great, but honestly, I use all the other streaming services a lot more. I feel like I use Hulu, and HBO Max and Paramount more, and YouTube. I like a lot of YouTube. Recently, I've been into watching Neil deGrasse Tyson videos.
Dude, wormhole. You can go learn about anything from that guy.
Literally. Yeah. He explains it so well.
Okay, cool. All right, I'll take just a couple of minutes here. Yeah, my name's Marcus. I'm a senior here, very non-traditional senior. I'm 32 years old, about to turn 33. Was in the Navy for 10 years. So I operated electronic control and safety systems on nuclear reactors on board submarines. So it sounds a lot cooler than it was. It was really just sitting in front of a panel for 8 hours a day underwater. But yeah, to answer the initial question, the leadership question, I mean, I feel like I bring a lot of the practical experience to the group here, and I think that'll kind of be my role here is to hopefully kind of tie in whatever our guests are, thinking, or try and rephrase it into that college mindset. So I've been here for about 2 years at the college, graduating in May, but definitely have the ability to translate it into usable knowledge, and that's kind of what I see in my role here.
Right, and another thing, adding on about just formulating this podcast, I think that also as a student ambassador, our role is to really be that first mode of communication for students that are in high school, to find out like what they really want out of a college and what College of Charleston is all about. And I think just like hearing from people that are your age, there's something so powerful and informative about that. You might not get the information or the questions answered that you need out of adults just because you have different priorities and focuses in life. So I think that's another role that our podcast can lend to students, just college students, just people younger going into the professional world. By no means are we experts, but we feel that we can help provide those conversations. I think taking initiative is what we all have in common here, and is also the first step to, going in the professional world.
Taking initiative is the first step to being a leader.
Right.
If you don't do it, somebody else will. But no, that's great. And Marcus, 8 hours underwater? I have to...
Dude, it's not 8 hours underwater. It's all the time underwater. My 8 hours of my day was spent staring at a panel, and then the other 16 hours.
Could you see like sea turtles go by?
No, there are no windows on submarines.
Oh.
So it was just like when did you see the sun?
Yeah.
It's like never.
when we come up, when we surface.
Do you take like it's vitamin D, right?
Yeah, it wasn't that crazy.
Okay.
Like I'd say like the longest period of time that we were underwater was like 60 something days. So it's not like
Wait, continuously?
Yeah.
You didn't take vitamin D or anything? You just
No, it's not that crazy.
You didn't notice any differences in like your body?
Oh yeah, for sure you do, but like you don't need vitamin D.
Well, is that kind of like
It's overrated.
in aren't there some countries where it's 6 months sun, 6 months no sun or something like that?
Yeah, I mean it's like if we just took this room and we took out these windows and we had like just this fluorescent lighting, if you just like did that and made it a lot smaller, that's what it felt like all the time.
Oh man. Well, should I do the leader question or should I
What
do
about you? We need an intro for you.
the intro? All right. Well, my name, Jarell Caviness. I'm a sophomore at College of Charleston. I originally came from Charleston Southern. I've lived out here in Goose Creek is where I live, but I've lived out here in Charleston about 4 years. But originally I'm from New York City. In New York City, there was a lot of going on. I had a big family, as well as I had a lot of stuff. Just with COVID, it was so much out there because I was transitioning from middle school to high school. So much, and I miss it a little bit. But I've been down here for about 4 years, and I've noticed there's just opportunities at every door. I've changed so much from COVID that I've been pushing myself to work harder, and that actually can go and tie with the leadership question. When I came down here, I learned that work of your own hands, you can do a lot, and it takes time. Obviously, Marcus, I know it took you a lot to get to that point where you were at in that submarine, and it took you also a lot to get to where you're at now, both of you. So I've realized that, and I've just been in my call to leadership, I guess you could say. I've just been trying to help everyone else improve around me. I see a lot of what's going on around today in college, as well as in the real world. Life is hard as is. You got assignments, you got everything else, but it's even harder when you still have to better yourself. You're not only dealing with the external, but you're still dealing with your own journey and your own path. So many questions I wish I could ask, just, somebody who just knows the answer, but we really sometimes just don't know, and we have to go with our instinct. We have to go just, I'm jumping into it. It's my first, second semester, jump right into it. And, that's my call to leadership, I guess I could say. I've just been trying to help everyone else see things, like Marcus said, in a different light. Sometimes you got to hear it from a different perspective, and that's what I've been trying to look at or trying to spread,
Nice. So that's kind of a part of the intro that we'd like to do here is talk about like some of the topics and ideas and conversations that we'd like to have. So from that, Jarell, like what are some kind of topics that you'd like to hear about?
Well, I mean, just for me personally, I just want to hear, or I would like to discuss in general. I believe our viewers are really what's hearing it, but I just really want people to understand there's a lot more going on inside with as far as processes for the body. When you awake, when you go to sleep, there's things happening that you need to pay attention to in order to try and, what's the word? Something with health, longevity or something like that.
Sure.
I don't know. So, but just there's a lot of more processes that people are not aware of, and I want to make them aware of. And processes being overcoming fear, overcoming hunger. If anything, some people definitely want to know how to do that, but overcoming certain things that may seem impossible, or they just don't know how. I guess courage is what people need to overcome. No.
Yeah, so I think that courage is definitely plays a big part in the first step of leadership, as we were talking about, is taking initiative. Yeah, there's a lot of processes mentally that bring you to taking initiative. That's why it's so hard for so many. Which brings me to what I think we were gonna primarily focus on in this podcast, which was finding your passion, right? If you find a passion, something that gives you that motivation, as well as like you were talking about with health processes, of course, it's not just finding your passion, but just, yeah, seeking those purposes that give you the motivation to take initiative and go through those extra steps of leadership and reach those heights that you never thought that you could.
Yeah, and I think we could tie those together for sure. Like understanding the health aspect of what you're doing. Like you can't do it unless you can like physically do it, right? So there's a nutrition point there, and there's a couple of people out in the community that I'm already starting to eyeball to bring us in for kind of that kind of view into the podcast, and that's kind of where we were getting at for me personally, was bringing in people in the community that we know are going to help us on the right path. That's who I want to be presenting to the listener.
Right, and there's a common theme here too, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about getting to know ourselves before we can really reach our highest potential.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, great that you say that. I Marcus was right. Those do go hand in hand. I believe the best way to put it is you're the engine. Your life or whatever, your business, that's the train. But you're the engine. If you're not there fully, if you can't be there fully, literally, definitely, other things around you are going to start, I guess, falling behind. But that's where, as you go on in the journey, you won't necessarily know totally who you are before you begin. But as you overcome those challenges, you learn. In all reality, you could do it. You just had to attempt. And I think that's where, you start learning more about yourself as you start taking down these challenges.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's not just, like, I was going to mention, like, getting to know yourself, ask yourself questions about, like, say you're trying to find, like, what career you want to go into and, like, where you place your focus, like, what excites you, what are your values, and that will help you figure out, like, a job that you want. But you put up a really good point. It's just, like, taking advantage of the opportunities you're given, no matter what they are, really. Of course, like, with some exceptions. But taking advantage of those opportunities are going to help you learn about yourself, what your style is, and, yeah, just give you more foresight for the future. I think that's a really good point.
Yeah, and that's always the goal, right? It doesn't matter if you're 12 or 20 or 82, right? Like you're trying to figure out, hey, who am I today? Where do I want to be tomorrow? And, there's a multitude of different ways that you could think about that. Like, I don't know, I guess a popular opinion would just be better than you were yesterday, right? Like you're only battling against yourself. So, right, there's a lot of different ways to go about it, a lot of different ways to attack it. And we'll hopefully talk about a variety and a diverse set of ways that we can kind of attack these things.
Yeah, and progress is not linear. It's hard to feel like you're on the right track a lot of the times because there's so much that you're learning. Like what's hard for me and something I have continuously learned is that you aren't going to know everything, especially now. It will be a while before you know everything. So just do what feels right, take advantage of those opportunities, and yeah, go from there.
Nice.
Do you guys have any other ideas that you would like to, like, you know, that you guys want to hear of? Do you guys have any topics?
Like regarding what we should cover in the future?
Yeah, I'm saying in general.
Yeah, I definitely think I just want to hear from people in the community that we can physically bring in and engage with and learn from, right? Because everybody knows that like one friend that is just like the go-getter, or that one person that's like your dad's friend that he's always talking about, that's always doing those things, right? Like Charleston is an incredible community. Those people exist. They're everywhere and they're helpful and they want to help. So we will be bringing those people in for sure. That's kind of where my viewpoint is at in terms of like who I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So that sounds really good, and I agree. Definitely, you need to be able to see it at least somewhere, even it's in your mind or if it's on paper. You know, I really adore cars, and when I see them out and about driving, you know, lifted trucks or whatever, I visualize it in my mind, and that's when, you know, I guess you can get into the manifestation or whatnot, but that's when you have that image and then you start working towards it. You keep it close in your mind. So definitely bringing someone on that's already in that point. Some people may have the mindset of, well, I don't really see anybody else doing it, so how could I do it? And bam, we'll show them. But there's one thing that we should definitely look into or try to explain to people is there's a difference between having the head knowledge and acting on it. So, you know, definitely we want to bring these people, but I just wanted to for the viewers listening, the opportunity, they're there. There's opportunities all around, but again, you have to be able to act on it. You have to have that courage, that initiative to be, all right, I know. So this billionaire just told me how I can set my life up. Are you going to act on it, or are you going to use that information and let it sit in your head? That's definitely the next part after we get that information out there. We got to push our viewers to act on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just being intentional with what you've got. Yeah, that's kind of the goal. If we want to just kind of give like a quick little us lesson, a little bit more to learn about ourselves, like let's talk just around the circle, just real quickly, a couple minutes. Like, what does leadership mean to you? Right? Because leadership is kind of like one of those vague words that people throw it around a lot. And a lot of the times, for me personally, when people talk about leadership, I think they're talking about management. Right. So there's a definite difference between those two things. Just like, what does that mean to you? And then how are we going to apply that to this podcast?
Yeah, sure. Right. Well, you're right. Leadership, you don't have to be a manager to be a leader. And I would argue that there's, you know, some managers that aren't very good leaders. For me, it's on being able to create a community and motivate others, as well as like bridging the gap between different styles. Like, it's very rare you're going to find a group of people that work exactly like you. I don't think I've ever had like a group project where everybody has the same work style. Like, everybody has a different one. And I think that leadership is just bridging the gap where everyone will do the best that they can be the best that they can be.
Perfect.
Marcus, you want to go next?
Yeah, I can. So leadership to me is along the same lines that you're trying to bring people together. I think from a standpoint of like entry level management jobs, right? Like there's always an opportunity for you to lead, and that meaning that you are trying to find ways to become more efficient that don't necessarily exist, or to bring people together that wouldn't necessarily, you would think that they would be together, right? So having the ability to find out like, hey, what are my people wanting, and then getting it for them, right? So I think that's a huge piece of what leadership is having the wherewithal to understand that should be a prominent question in your head, and then I think it's more about knowing the right questions than it is knowing the answers to the questions.
That make a good point, definitely, and both of you make great points. And I really, what you said before about the word leadership and how it can be very vague and it can be thrown around. It's very true, because I believe that leadership as a whole not only means what you do with your power as a leader and how you manage or how you assess your team, but there's also the internal part. I recently realized when you take on that role, there's not many people that take on the leadership. That's why you're there. There is the internal, where people are watching you. So people are watching your every move. And I believe as a leader, you have to be able to, one, take shots. You have to be able to take some hits, because you're going to make mistakes. I think that's what people, they get it a little mixed up. Just because you're at the front of the pack doesn't mean you're perfect or you're better than the rest of them. You're human just like that. But it takes, it takes humility to make a mistake and then have your team get on you about it. It takes a little bit more of a person for you to, instead of telling your team, all right, do this and do that, you go out there and you set the example and do it with them. It takes a different type of person, because you have to realize some people, when they get into that leadership position, they're like, well, I'm better than you. I don't have to do that type of work. But that's not how you lead a team. That's just, you're telling them. No, when you lead a team, you're down there, in there with them. You're doing whatever. So you have to be able to really be like one of just a regular person at this end of the day, but they're going to follow you because you may have a little bit more on how to solve this. Or like you said, all right, you two work it out. All right, it's not that bad. I know you guys have your differences. And then once they realize, oh, wait, he was able to see that, but we weren't, let's listen to this guy. So I definitely think you have to be more on the level of with your peers when you're a leader. I think that's the internal. Definitely, there's so many different ways. I think when you're managing as a leader, everybody has different ways that they assess things. But how you take it, how are you, talking to them personally? Are you really getting down on that connection level, working with them? That's definitely aspects of a leader that, most people don't see. But, yeah.
I think that a big characteristic of a leader is their ability to influence and teach others. It's not just like we were talking about the difference between a leadership and a manager. A manager kind of dictates what other people do, but a leader guides somebody into doing that. And these people under this leader can say that they've learned something and are better because of this leader or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. And hopefully throughout the course of this season specifically, we'll see that on a bunch of different levels, because I'm hearing a lot of what you're saying, Jarell, and it's very peer leadership minded, right? Which is great for the college world that we're in, for sure. Yeah, like that's incredibly impactful. And from my own experience, so the 10 years in the military, like peer leadership is the hardest form of leadership possible. Right, because you're getting people around you to try get them to do things that they don't want to do, that, they're like, well, we're in the same boat. Like, why would I do this and not you? Yeah, so there's a little bit of that. Yeah.
Oh my, that
for sure.
What you just said at the end, why would I do this? We're in the same boat. It's like, that's why you got to be down there with them. You got to be down there putting it in, because then they'll say, all right, this guy's working with me. I can't knock him. That's you put it really in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, ability to relate to others.
For sure.
Is important.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Now, my question is, well, career paths. I know we all have where we want to go, but do you guys know where you want to be after college?
I'll start. Well, my major is finance. I found finance to be the best route for me, just with how my brain works. I find myself in a flow state with math sometimes, and I do understand. Yeah, I find that, and this is going off of my passion, I want to make a difference in my career, like make a difference in the world, and I think business is a really powerful avenue for that. Particularly in sustainability, I believe is the future. And, you know, I feel like the economy is like number one or number two based like how at least the American society functions. And if you can change that, then we can build a better future. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing you got a lot of aspirations, a lot of dreams there.
Yeah, I mean,
love it. Do you have like a specific job that you have in mind that you're wanting to go into? Specific line of work, anything?
Well, I think a big thing I've learned as a college student is, like we talked about, take the opportunities you can. And it will lead you into what you want to do eventually. I'm not even entirely sure which like job title I would want.
Yeah,
I just
for sure.
have like a vaguer kind of like purpose, which is guiding me right now, personally.
Would you call that your values?
Yeah. My
Perfect.
passion,
All right. Yeah, there we
values,
go.
interests.
Right. We'll be diving into that for sure. For me personally, just as a graduating senior, it's again just another weird scenario that I'm in. Yeah, I mean, grad school, like MBA route is in the path. I run my own business right now too. That's kind of like supports me part-time. I would like to do it full-time, but again,
Plug your business.
Plug the business. It's Harland Handmade, HarlandHandmade on Instagram.
Well, that was quick.
That's the only social we got. I actually did it so fast, I just kind of like blacked out and just started spelling letters. I hope that's spelled correctly. Yeah, so running that business is great. I would like to do that full time, but I really enjoy teaching. That's what I did for the last 4 years. So I just think instinctively it'll probably end up being some sales role that I can do right out the bat is probably where I'll end up at. But yeah, in the long run, it's running my own business. I'm on that entrepreneur route right now with a bunch of clubs here, with classes that I'm taking, and in my personal life. So that's my end goal.
That's swell, man. That's swell. And I support that, you know, because I know coming out of the Navy, that was probably a lot. That was probably a lot on your mental. I'm still thinking about no sunlight for like 60 days.
So you just do it. You just don't think about it.
Yeah. As far as my career goals and whatnot, I think I'm similar to what Zoe said. Not that I'm good at math, but I don't have a particular path that I want to take. You know, I have an idea. I just want to make money while I'm sleeping. But I know that means that I have to put in a lot of work now so that I can do that later. And I would love for every one of my viewers to listen very, very clearly right now. You can have multiple streams of income. If now you can't be a jack of all trades. You're not going to know everything, but you can have more than one skill. The human brain is the capabilities are more than any of us even know about. We can learn more than one skill, and in doing that, that's how you have your hands in different industries.
Right. And it's about like unlocking your potential and being proactive. That's what
I'm finna do. Cause I'm not gonna lie, I can't sit still. I can't sit still. I can't sit anywhere and you know, for a while, and I'm noticing now I might have authority problems. I'm not gonna lie, I might have authority problems.
Just now realizing?
Yeah, I don't like being told really what to do, but I know there's a system in place. And it's in place for a reason because it works. That's why I got to create my own.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a really important topic of you just want to make money while you're sleeping. That's, like, I feel that way. Of course, I want to make money to be comfortable in life. And a big thing, like, up until, like, this year, I was just like, I don't know, I just want to make a ton of money, man. And as I go into these different, like, I've deep dived a lot. I talk to ChatGPT like it's my best friend just because, like, it explains so much to me. And, like, as I'm going through, like you know, sophomore year of college, things, like, start becoming really real. And I'm just learning so much about the professional world and, like, what jobs give you this money. And what I've learned is, like, oh, but you have to be working, like, at least from what I've learned is, like, in finance, the jobs that make the big money, you work, like, a lot of hours, like, on weekends, 60 to 80 hours a week. And I'm sitting back and I'm evaluating, like, yeah, I would make so much money, but would I be happy doing that? Yeah, I would have, like, big numbers in the bank, but I would be getting up and being miserable with my day-to-day life. And that's just me personally. From, like, the description I've heard, I don't know what my future is going to be like, but it caused me to reevaluate, like, okay, what should I be focusing on? Should I be focusing on getting a career I might not like, or should I? It just made me veered my path almost.
You looked at the internal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you didn't like veer your path. You're not trying to take a different path. You're just taking the same path with a different viewpoint.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So you're just like looking at it from a different lens.
Yeah.
Right, which is super important, and we can definitely we'll deep dive into all of that.
It caused me to ask like more questions, which is a big thing. Just I think asking yourself questions and evaluating your path is really important so that you end up where you want to be. Yeah, and going back to finding your passion, making sure that your focus is on something that's gonna make you happy in the future.
Nice.
I really agree with what you said, and I'm glad you had that little moment where you took a step back and really looked in, because, well, people, if you choose a degree, really think it through. Whatever degree you're choosing, really think it through, because you don't want to pay for all these classes. And then she had that thought, and I'm not sure if she's gonna stay on it or whatever, but you had that thought pretty soon. You had it early, so now you're gonna be able to take that time and say, hold on, let me reevaluate. Some people do that when they're walking across the stage or when they get in the job and sit down. Gotta really think about, and I've been thinking about a lot of this recently. I like to call it the finer things in life. Your mental health. I'm gonna be working. You're trading time for money. One. So if you have a family, 60 to 70 hours a week, or did you say 80?
Yeah.
Your mental health is cooked. You're going to be in front of a computer. Everyone's going to be coming to you with their problems. Oh, I don't have this, I don't have that, or, I need this. And that's where you think about the finer things of the internal. Would I really want to deal with that every day of my life? Or, would I really want to, can I really excel if I'm having to deal with all of these problems? You start thinking about the finer things in life. And that's just sometimes, I guess this is another point. Sometimes you have to take a step back and reevaluate. Am I really making progress on this, or should I just go with a different venture? And it's all personal. It's all opinion.
Yeah, I just want to point out that it's not necessarily in a position where we're saying don't go into finance. Right.
No.
Like there's definitely
and there's
as a School of Business podcast,
finance.
we're not saying don't go into finance.
No.
We're just saying even if it's in the same route, it's not forever, right? Like it's understanding your viewpoint, and your viewpoint of any job is more important than what you're actually doing in the job.
Yeah, it's just being understanding your choices.
For sure.
I think, and the reason I bring it up, and what you said before, there's different avenues of finance. This one just from its description doesn't seem like me, and it's not what I want to focus on right now, at least for now. But the reason I bring it up is because I feel like it's a pretty common naive viewpoint, maybe not naive, but at least for me, to go in and just be I just want to make a ton of money no matter what I do, because, you transition into adulthood, you figure out, oh, this isn't making me happy. You start to value those finer things in life, and I just think that us giving the advice now of finding, you're going to do better and be most successful likely in something that you are passionate about or enjoy doing. So don't just let money be your only guiding point, is something I would tell myself 2 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Totally agree.
Definitely. Money can be printed, and it is very much printed almost every day. There's an abundance of it. I think what you're trying to look for is just to have that. When you start looking at the finer things in life, you have to also realize it's always going to be there. When you leave that position, They're hiring someone to fill it up right after you. When you take that last paycheck, the first one is going for someone else. There's a cycle. You have to realize at what point you are in that cycle. There's a cycle of going in, there's a cycle of leaving, and then there's people in the middle going up and down and all the way around. It's never linear. One step forward, two steps backward, sideways, this, that, and the other. But it's not linear. That's why you always have to reevaluate where you are. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice. All right. It seems to be a good stopping point for us here, right?
Yeah,
You good with that?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's just the intro of learning
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
lead.
Yeah, this is just like a big brain.
Very little
Throw up.
structure, almost a brain dump of sorts.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. So hopefully you're getting something out of this to see what's coming. You'll hear from us speaking to different guests, bringing them in, whether it's one of us, whether it's two of us, whether it's all three of us with a guest. Could be a student, could be somebody in business, could be, I don't know, somebody doing nonprofit work. Who knows?
Anyone who we believe has leadership qualities that need to be shared.
That's it.
Yeah, man. But
Yeah, and also tell us what you guys want to see.
yeah,
For sure.
definitely. If you guys would like to leave in the comments or anywho, tell one of us in person. If you feel that you would like to join the podcast, if you feel anything that you want to be involved, let us know. Oh, said who wants to do the outro?
It's you.
Oh, it's me?
Yeah,
Oh,
you did the end. You're doing the out.
well, folks, today, Learning to Lead, episode 1. Zoe, Marcus, myself, Jarell. That's a wrap. Have a nice day, folks.
Bye.
See ya.